What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NBA to the Galaxy podcast, featuring your host, my man Slim. Over to my right is the way I'm looking at it on my screen. I don't know how it looks on y'all's screen there, but my man Slim over there chilling. He's gonna go in tonight. I already know, so we don't even have to get into that just yet. He's got something for us, but obviously, if you don't know me by now, you can call me Scotty. You can find me at Scotty Drown on X. You can find my man Slim at RTR30111 on X. The pod on X at To The Galaxy Pod is exactly where you can find us on X. And of course, the show is presented to you by DSM Media. You can find them on X, DSM_media. With all that being said, we got a pretty jam-packed show to get into tonight. We've been off for a couple weeks enjoying the holiday break, I would say. But we got a lot to get into. Jimmy Butler demands a trade. We just ended the 2024 year, so we got to kind of look back at the year and talk about who our top 10 favorite players from the year were. The Suns switching up their starting lineup. OKC's on a 15-game win streak, got a big W against the Celtics over the weekend, I believe. A lot going on in the NBA. Kings fire Mike Brown. We haven't even talked about that yet. And I saw some stuff with the Warriors last night too, man. Steve Kerr calling out Keon Ellis, I believe it was, about flopping.
Yeah, man. As a matter of fact, bro, I'm seeing this video of Steph getting hit on a 3-pointer and they didn't even call it. That was crazy, man.
Yeah, I will say I do see that all the time for Steph. For some reason, he does not get like a superstar whistle. It's actually very weird.
It's crazy, bro.
But how you doing, my man? Happy holidays, happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all of the above, my man. It has been a minute, but I'm happy to see you, dog.
Yes, sir, my guy. Yeah, it's been a minute, man. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year's, everything. It's been
all
just
of it.
It's been just that long since we been on this pod, but it's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Always link up and do it again. But yeah, man, I'm doing good. Can't complain. The holidays definitely flew by for sure. But last week, we were supposed to do a pod together. But for the audience out there, you guys can actually blame Scotty, your boy Scotty Drown here, because my Warriors, they put a belt to what this past Thursday to his Sixers. And, he kind of feels the type of way about it or whatnot. But, it's almost a week later, I guess we surpassed it. So we're back on good terms or whatnot. But it was never a problem on my end. So, hey,
yeah, I had to skip out
again, though.
I had to skip out on the late week pod. Didn't want to talk about it. I'm just playing. It was a lot going on over those holiday weeks, but they definitely did whoop up on the Sixers last Thursday night, man. Obviously, I had sent you some stuff. Obviously, we just troll each other back and forth, but I was like complaining about the schedule and stuff. Looking back on it, it's all good, man. It was a W. It was a belt to ass whooping. The Warriors didn't make the schedule at the end of the day. They came out. They looked like a team that was refreshed, and they did. They came out hot. I was definitely full of the excuses that night, though, for sure. It was annoying to watch, definitely. I was disappointed because, Embiid sat out the night before the front end of the back-to-back, so I thought he would be fresh, but he didn't even look good that night either. The Warriors were rolling, though. They were hitting everything, so I can't be too mad about it at the end of the day, other than the fact it's against my co-host's favorite team. That's the only bad part of that L. So I'll take it on the chin, though. I'll take it on the chin. I'm gonna keep smiling, man. Got back on the right track with a big W against Brooklyn over the weekend, bro.
D-Lo back in Brooklyn, so
no Embiid tonight. So that we can talk about that first if you want. No, I'm just kidding. We've talked about that all season because Embiid is just in and out of the lineup.
Yeah,
going against the Suns team, man, that is struggling. You actually brought this to my attention this morning, but I believe the Suns are like shaking up their starting lineup going into this game.
Yes, sir. So they are taking out Bradley Beal and Nurkic, and they are inserting Mason Plumlee and Ryan Dunn into the starting lineup alongside Tyus Jones, D-Book, and KD. Initially, I'm not a fan of the Suns, but from a ball, a guy that loves the game perspective, I think it's the right move to make. I mean, I think me and you had this conversation numerous of times last year. Like, we just didn't know how that would work out with three ball dominant players. Like,
Yeah,
KD and Booker can't play off the ball, but I think they would prefer to have the ball in their hands. And same thing with Bradley Beal. So they're just not the recipe for success. And if you're the
yeah,
Phoenix Suns, it's definitely the right move to make. I mean, at some point you got to switch it up because they have been struggling. I think that over their past 10 plus game, they lost majority of them. So yeah, I mean, you definitely got to look to experiment different things and whatnot. But it's definitely interesting, man, because Bradley Beal makes a ton of money to be coming off the bench now, and he is one of two players in the league to have a no trade clause. Him and LeBron. So that kind of tells you, a lot right there. And he just got moved
him
to
and
the bench.
LeBron.
So yeah, but Mason
Yeah,
Plumlee starting though, I don't know about that though. Like, I don't know. I probably would have just did ball, honestly.
Bobo, yeah, that's definitely an option. Mason Plumlee, he gives you like athleticism, lob threat, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, Maybe a little bit better than Nurkic for sure, just with his
yeah,
athleticism,
maybe.
the defensive prowess. Um, Grayson Allen always made sense to me in the
Yeah,
starting lineup. So when you look at the floor space and you talked about the ball handling duties, he's a guy that doesn't need the ball in his hands. So I never
yeah,
really understood why they wanted to mess with him like out of the starting lineup versus what they had previously.
yeah.
Just because he fits so well, he spaces the floor. He can hit the three ball and he can hit it from extended range too. He has a deep 3-point shot, but he's also athletic, man. He can finish at the rim. He can dunk. He can get above the rim. So I do overall think it's a better fit with the starting lineup. You look at Bradley Beal. He kind of fits that 6-man mold of like a scoring punch off the bench. We'll see what it looks like, right? Like Bradley Beal is just such like an unappealing player at this point in his career, which is just so crazy to say, given where he was maybe 4 years ago or so. And he's not that old either. It's not age. It's not that is really playing this big factor in Bradley Beal's kind of decline in the light. But we'll see if this helps him out. It should give him a unit where he can, handle the ball, to your point, full time and maybe look for his shot a little bit more often. But I always thought him and Devin Booker, their skill sets just overlap. Like Devin Booker's just a much better version of Bradley Beal and what you think Bradley Beal is, right? So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that plays out for them. But I do find it more interesting that they feel the need to like announce this big change because they are playing such bad basketball. They've lost 4 straight.
Yeah.
Things are just not syncing up with this team. And I'll ask you this, like not just tonight with the Sixers game in Philadelphia, like that matchup, but the Suns as a whole, man. Like, where are they going with this roster? Like, do you think it's as simple as like a starting lineup change? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
No, not by any means. It's definitely deeper than that for sure. The Western Conference is obviously loaded with so much talent, but it's more than just a starting lineup situation with them. I think ultimately they should look to move Bradley Beal just for a better fit for a guy like Jimmy Butler or whoever else is out there. And you
Yeah,
mentioned Grayson Allen. I mean, Grayson Allen had like one heck of a season last year, like
yeah,
all career highs pretty much all across the charts. Shot the ball pretty good. He may have led the league in 3-point percentage or something. But yeah, if I'm the Suns, I would definitely look to move Bradley Beal for the betterment of this team and
yeah.
Nurkic as well.
And
Because
Nurkic. Yep.
yeah, that's what I
So they
would do.
got maybe some guys like Nurkic maybe is the more obtainable one just because Bradley Beal's contract. It really
Yeah, it
depends
isn't friendly, man.
on what you're bringing back in. But yeah, I just really don't know where the Suns are going right now. We'll see what they look like tonight. There's no Embiid in the game tonight either against the Suns. He's dealing with like some foot injury. It's always something. So we'll see. It's a game the Sixers absolutely need to win.
Yeah,
Because I don't know. Obviously, I don't know if you watched the previous show I was just on with Dylan, but they got a 4-game stretch this week that is very, they should win at least 3 games out of the 4. But after that, you got a mixture of like OKC, Denver, New York Knicks, Pacers, Bucks, all in a row. It's like a 6-game span against those type of teams. So I don't know how they're going to fare during that stretch. They need to get W's this week.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, man, for sure.
in the West Coast, because you talked about the Suns and kind of where they stand in the Western Conference. and I'm looking at who's ahead of them right now. One, I think we need to talk about the Timberwolves too at some point on this show. They play tonight as well. They play the Clippers tonight. But looking at the Sacramento Kings right ahead of the Suns, they're in the 11th spot. The Suns are in the 12th right now. You look at the Kings versus a team like the Suns, who do you think has a better chance at maybe, taking a step in the right direction, maybe getting back up into the play-in tournament and whatnot? Because my mind, I'm looking at these two teams and it almost feels like the Kings might just fit a little bit better than the Suns do, but they did just fire their head coach. So where are you at with the Sacramento Kings right now?
Man, I can't show no love to the Kings, man. You know that. Yeah, I can't show no love, man. There's some history between us,
Yeah.
So.
No, I feel
But
it. I feel it. What do you think of the firing, first of all? We haven't talked about that at all.
Well, man, I kind of I don't know. Maybe you had this conversation yet, but it really revolves back to the Darvin Ham situation. I'm not comparing Mike Brown to Darvin Ham by any means, but if you look at the situation Darvin Ham was in, he led the team to the Western Conference Finals a year before he got fired. They made it to the NBA Cup tournament or whatever, or the finals or whatnot, and they won. And ultimately, they ended up coming up short. They lost to Denver once again.
Yeah.
But I find it to always be funny how when things start to go left, it's always easy to point the finger at the coach.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, coaches should be held accountable, the whole coaching staff or whatnot, but it's only so much that they can do. They're not the ones that's actually playing out there. So, and if you're the GM, like the Lakers roster, the way their roster was constructed was just not a winnable roster. So when I look at the Kings, man, like honestly, I thought DeMar DeRozan would have been a better fit for this team from a winning perspective, because obviously I know he go out there and get his own, but that just haven't been the case. So, the talent is there for the Sacramento Kings. It just things wasn't meshing well. So they just figured it would be best to get rid of the guy that just won the Coach of the Year award a few years ago. So, yeah, the way I look at it, wasn't a smart move, because I don't think it's just too many, better candidates out there, as of right now. So I probably just would have stuck it through, maybe check out the trade market and see if we can make a few trades before we ultimately make a major move like that. But yeah, I wouldn't have done that though.
Yeah, I tend to agree, man. When you look at roster construction, like that matters a lot. And I think this was maybe like a last ditch attempt at like trying to salvage anything you have with like De'Aaron Fox and the idea of him wanting to get out of Sacramento and go somewhere else and play. But it seemed like Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox had a good relationship from the outside looking in. It seemed like he wasn't too happy with the firing, but I did see a report that it was partly a decision made because Mike Brown was floating the idea of it's not benching DeMar DeRozan, but just taking him out of the starting lineup, which at this stage in DeMar DeRozan's career, you almost understand it. Like, I do get it. He's a stat sheet stuffer. Like, he can score the rock, but he is a bit of a clunky fit in this era of basketball, man, with just no 3-point prowess. Like, that's the big thing in today's NBA is you got to be able to hit a three, especially if you're playing at the 1 through 4, let alone the 5, being able to hit a three.
Sure,
So I think when you look at it from that part, it's just not the most efficient way of basketball, the way DeMar plays. And once again, I'm thinking right back to Bradley Beal. DeMar DeRozan fits that 6-man scoring punch off the bench. He gets that freedom with the second unit to shoot whatever shots he wants. And he gets to go and pick his spot. So that kind of did make sense to me, just from putting in like a better fitting piece. Maybe it's Malik Monk. You take him out of that 6-man role and put him in the starting lineup. But nonetheless, Mike Brown falls on the sword, kind of what you mentioned there, and takes the brunt of it. But I think this roster just isn't constructed correctly. At the end of the day, you got Domantas Sabonis, who is just this like polarizing player where on one side of things, once again, stat sheet stuffer. He's going to get you a ton of double-doubles throughout the season. Might even get you a triple-double a couple times. But is he going to be able to make the proper impact defensively? That's what it always comes back to.
That's what it comes down to, for real. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you brought up great points, man. Like for both DeMar DeRozan and Bradley Beal, both of those guys been in the league for over 10 years. They haven't
yeah,
really won at the highest level. So when you talk about winning
yeah,
at the highest level, the number one thing that comes up to mind to me is sacrifice. So all egos should be left at the door. Like if the coaching staff want to bring either
yeah,
DeMar or Bradley Beal off the bench, they should be open to accepting that role. It's okay. Y'all in the later stages of y'all career, and if I'm pretty sure the only thing that you plan for at this point is a championship. So, hey,
yeah.
if that's what's best for the team, for you to come off the bench to do, then hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, man. It is interesting to see how it plays out. We got D-Rap in the comments, man. Do you got anything to say about Christmas, Slim? We gotta address it. What happened on Christmas?
What happened? A game winning layup by Austin Reeves is what happened. But you know what? I can let D-Rab have his moment. He's practically prayed for times like this, so I give it to him. I'm not going to steal his moment. He can have it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's fair enough for me, man. But let's talk about some other disgruntled, whatever you want to call what's going on down in Miami with Jimmy Butler demanding a trade. Made it very clear in a press conference after a game last week. He wants out of Miami. They've suspended him. What are your thoughts just in general before we get into destinations, trade packages, stuff like that? What are
Oh
your
boy.
thoughts with just the situation in general? Because to me, man, it's kind of odd. I won't lie to you. From my perspective outside looking in, Jimmy hasn't played enough, like consistently the last season and a half, dating back into last season. He hasn't played enough games to
Yeah.
be upset with what's going on in Miami, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts here. Do you think he's right to
Um,
feel that way of wanting to get out of there?
I know he was dealing with like some personal family issues or some. I think his dad may have passed away, but I do know that Pat Riley came out and said a statement this past playoffs, and I think it was something along the lines of if you're not playing, then you should hush up or something like that. So I guess Jimmy just took that in the wrong way because maybe he said
Yeah,
something, he commented on something, and he wasn't playing or whatever. So I can't remember. I had to look it up. Maybe I don't know, but yeah. So Jimmy took that in the wrong way. So I kind of see both parties, like Pat
that's
Riley
bad.
perspective
Yeah,
and Jimmy Butler frustration because I mean he was up for a contract extension and maybe he veered as he wasn't a priority because they didn't get anything done or whatnot. So
yeah.
I could kind of see that he did lead this team to two NBA finals in what 4 years or something. Yeah, four
That's why
years.
it's
Yeah,
so surprising, man. Yeah,
yeah. He led the Heat to two finals, so you gotta give him his props there. That 2023 playoff round was generational, no doubt. Yeah, but I could see both parties, but I think for Jimmy too, man, like I could kind of lean more to his side than Pat Riley because understand this, Jimmy Butler's finna be he's more so on his way out the end. Like he's close to the end of his career, so he wants to
yeah,
compete at a high level. If we look at the way the Miami Heat is currently constructed, that's just not enough. I mean, they kind of been floating in and out the play-in tournament for the past three years now, something like that.
yeah.
But ultimately, they just don't have enough. I mean, they had the option to get Dame Dollar that didn't work out or whatever. From my understanding, Sean's Corona confirmed that they had the opportunity to get Kyrie Irving. That didn't work out. So hey, I can see the frustration. He just want to compete and win at a high level, and he's on the clock. He's getting older now, so Father Time
Yeah.
is definitely undefeated. So I can see both parties, but I think it is best to just move on because it's a lot of bad energy between both parties. So
Well, let me ask you this, because you tend to be like you even said you're kind of siding with Jimmy in this case. How much are you willing to give up to get a player like Jimmy? Like as a Warriors fan, because they are one of the four teams he listed:
yeah.
Dallas, Golden State, Houston, and Phoenix. All in the Western Conference, which makes sense. Miami's not going to trade with the Eastern Conference.
Mhm.
What would you be willing to give up for a Jimmy Butler? You don't have to give like a specific package, but is there no concern with his personality? Like, he seems like a very cool guy. Like, don't get me wrong, he's very unique. But after a certain point, we saw this with James Harden. We've seen it with why does his name slip in my mind? Forcing his way out. James Harden's the one that comes to mind immediately. Just because I dealt with it in Philly. He also forced his way out of Brooklyn. He forced his way out of Houston.
Yeah.
Jimmy forced his way out of Minnesota.
Was it Dame Dolly you was talking about?
Nah, it wasn't Dame. Not Dame. Nah, not Dame. Dame's all right. He asked for a trade out. Very respectful manner. He honestly did a little too much for the Portland Trailblazers before they moved on from him, man.
I can't see what you're talking about. I can't remember neither. I don't know, man.
Nah, she says Ben. It's not Ben. Ben only did it with the Sixers, so I'm not going at Ben here necessarily, but definitely the James Harden crowd of like, something's not going my way, I'm out of here. And that worries me a little bit just from like an outside perspective. If my squad was trading for him, don't get me wrong, there's a ton of Sixers fans that want Jimmy Butler on this roster. I'm not one of them. I think, from my perspective, PG, for example, there's been people that say trade PG for Jimmy. I don't know that I want that volatile personality, man, coming into this situation. Our situation's not great right now as well, so that's not ideal. But how do you feel, man? Like, do you think everything would just be all good once Jimmy gets on the squad with Draymond and Steph, and he's just going to follow the lead? Or does he kind of go in a different direction, man? Because he's shown to be different. Very different.
Nah, man. I mean, you got to know personnel, too. And you brought up some great points, but I think a lot of people tend to forget how his career ended in Minnesota. That was not a good, like the way
not a good environment.
He basically forced his way out or whatever too. So
I can't believe he's doing this to Bam Adebayo and Eric Spoelstra and like it's like if you're doing this in Miami, it's kind of wild because we haven't really seen it in Miami. Miami takes care of guys. Like, I don't know. That's why it's weird to me.
Yeah, I don't think that the Warriors should try to go for Jimmy because we would basically be gutting our whole roster out. I'm not fine with that, man.
Kaminga and more.
Yeah, and Wiggins, like you gotta have to include Wiggins just to make the money work. So I don't think I would do that, man.
Yeah. Who do you think he does fit in with? Where do you think the best situation would be for him out of those four teams, I guess?
The perfect team I have in mind, and this is a team that a lot of people are not talking about, but I look at the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
His personality fits that team, like that grit and grind mentality. Dogs, always mad. He fits that, and they have the assets to go out there and get him without having to give up Bane, Ja, or Jaren, or Edie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They have young talent. Yeah, it's not a bad idea, man. The other team that I look at is Houston. I think that's a great fit.
To me.
Yeah, I mean, you can. They have the same situation as Memphis. They have young players that they could offer. They have guys that they could make the contracts work. Maybe a Dylan Brooks is involved in that trade. I'm not sure.
He definitely is.
But those are all interesting, man. It'll be interesting to see what Jimmy does when he goes to the next organization. I'm interested to see his personality. What if he doesn't get traded to the teams that he's selected, right?
Well,
I'm sure. I feel like he would be fine with Memphis, though. To your point, like even though he didn't hand select them, I still think he would be okay going there.
Yeah, that's a nice fit for him, and he basically said that he would go anywhere, and I think it helped them win. So
yeah, just to win, which he absolutely would hope.
Maybe he go down to Detroit. Him and down to Detroit. They playing pretty good though. K Cunningham.
Look, hear me out. Trade Tobias Harris for him.
No, they're not gonna do that, bro. No.
Trade the Tobias Harris package for him. You might have to throw in maybe the Thompson twin with Tobias.
A package centered around Tobias for Jimmy would be crazy, and if Tobias get traded for Jimmy, he would officially hate him. He really would.
What, Thompson, Tobias,
Isaiah Stewart, draft picks. You know.
Isaiah Stewart and draft picks. Yeah, because you don't want to get rid of Jalen Duren. He's too good right now.
Yeah. Sucks to see Jay Navin have a season-ending injury, man. He was
Yeah,
balling.
because the Pistons look all right, man.
Yeah,
Kate Cunningham
they
playing
do.
some good
Malik
ball.
Beasley, Cade Cunningham, they've been cooking.
Man, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I do want to talk about this before we finish off with our top 10 players of 2024, man. OKC.
Man.
Like, is this for real? Like 30-5 right now, 15-game win streak.
Yeah.
They're for real. Like, they're the championship favorites, like even more than like a Boston?
I don't know if I want to say that, but they legit though. Like if they come out the West, I wouldn't be surprised. You
This
gotta
is
keep in
without
mind, like
Chet right now?
that's what I'm saying. Like they're on a 15-game winning streak without their third best player. Like you can argue who's the second between Chet and J Dub, but
Yeah.
man, this has been impressive, and SGA, man, it's time for him to start receiving some MVP love because he ain't
Yeah.
been getting it,
Yeah.
man. Like he really should be like in
He
that
should be
conversation.
MVP right now. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I
he
mean? He
got
should
my
be
vote,
leading the
so
way.
he got my vote for sure. I actually had
Yeah.
him winning MVP last year because you look at the season that they had, they was the number one seed. Nobody predicted that.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
yeah,
I feel you. And I showed him some love in my top 10 players of 2024 as well. Because to your point, he's probably one of my favorite players in the NBA. His game is just so smooth. He
yeah.
plays the right
Well,
way. He gets his teammates involved. Like I really like what they're doing in OKC, man.
I can see why you would say that. Why he one of your favorite players. I know
Why
exactly
you
what you're
say
talking
that? Why you say that?
free throws. Merchant.
You're funny as hell. Hey, he does get to the line, man. He does get to the line.
He does. He finessed
You know what
in.
it is? If he was in the Eastern Conference, I would fucking hate him. I'll be straight up with you. I would hate him. But he's in the West. He doesn't bother me. Same thing with like De'Aaron Fox. He doesn't bother me. Like I like those players out west.
Fox, man.
Yeah, I like all them dogs out west, man. They got some
Shame on the
guards out
Clippers
there.
for giving SGA away, man. Wow.
Oh man,
what
got to
could
be
have
one of the
been?
worst decisions.
Yeah. What could have
One of the
been?
worst decisions. Isaiah Hartenstein, perfect fit on this roster as well, man.
Yeah. True definition of being a star on your road,
Ridiculous.
man. True definition.
Yeah, that's it. I love that you said that. It's a perfect description of Isaiah Hartenstein this season, man. But yeah, do you have anything else before we finish out the show? Top 10 NBA players of 2024, just to wrap up the new year here.
Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, if D-Rap's still around, I mean, I wonder how you feel about D-Lo getting traded. They got Dorian Finney-Smith, so
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty much
forgot
it.
about that. What about D'Lo's comments? What'd you think? Did you see those?
Was it something like, maybe you can enlighten me, but I may know what you're talking about.
I can generalize them. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but basically it was
Yeah.
something around the likes of he always had to fall on the sword for the Lakers organization. He got blamed for a lot. There's just a lot of blame over there that goes on a lot. He said the fan base is kind of toxic in the way they treat the players outside of LeBron and AD. Yeah, so it was interesting to hear those comments. He felt like the shackles got taken off of him by going to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I bet his like burdens have been gotten off him, but he ain't lying though. Like it's a whole bunch of like LeBron, he doesn't take accountability. Like he's always like if you go back to that series against the Denver Nuggets last year, like Aaron Gordon was having a field day when he was guarding him. It was funny, like LeBron looked behind him to try to like blame one of his teammates, but nobody was behind him. But yeah, but LeBron just doesn't, take accountability, and then
shots fired.
That takes, that kind of, dwells on your team. But shout out to D-Lo though, man. Get out that toxic, fan base team, because every time something go wrong, he's the one that's always getting blamed. So
yeah,
he could have like
that.
a pretty good game, but he would always receive the blame.
He's the Tobias of the Lakers.
Yeah, it's hard playing with LeBron though, man. It's a lot of media attention. The brights truly are light. But the lights truly are bright when you playing with LeBron.
No, I completely agree, man. Can't imagine it, honestly, because to your point, you get blamed for everything. But yeah, that was an interesting trade. I'll be honest, like What all did they give up for him for DFS?
I think 3 second-round
D'Lo,
picks.
D'Lo 3 seconds and maybe one young player or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Maxwell Lewis. Yeah, Maxwell Lewis.
Maxwell
Yeah.
Lewis. Okay.
Mhm.
So they didn't give up too much for him. I saw some trade package that was crazy for DFS, like a mock trade package, but this wasn't
Yeah.
too bad.
The Lakers outbidded the Grizzlies because the Grizzlies were actually closing in on getting him.
Grizzlies, that was the other team, but I heard they were offering something like a little ridiculous for DFS, but he would have fit perfectly.
Luke Kennard, John Trossard, and like 2 first-round picks, something like
Two
that.
firsts, that's where it gets a little crazy, but that's not that bad. Luke Kennard's not that bad
Yeah,
to give up.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you this before we get into top 10. I got a couple names written down here. Cam Johnson has been in the news a lot of rumors lately. Nikola Vucevic, Michael Porter Jr., Brandon Ingram, Nurkic, who we talked about earlier, Jeremy Grant, Keldon Johnson. These are some of the names that are kind of floating around for these teams that might be moved around the deadline. Any of those names stick out to you as like this guy's going to be gone? Like he's going to be with a different organization by the deadline?
You listed about 4 for sure. I can see Cam Johnson making his way to Indiana. I can see Nikola
Is that a
Vucevic coming to
rumor?
the.
That would be perfect. That would be nice.
Yeah, he fits them.
Pacers?
Nikola can come to the Warriors. We could use a guy like that. Brandon Ingram definitely should get traded. It doesn't make sense to just keep him. Like I don't think that they have any intentions on bringing him back. So why not trade him now? So yeah, and I can see
Could they get Jimmy? New Orleans.
that would be crazy. Like what a way to send
Such a
Jimmy
risk.
out.
Yeah, because I feel like Jimmy
But
would hate that shit. But
yeah, because the Pelicans have one of the worst records in the league, and they
it's
not making the play-ins.
yeah.
But
So I
yeah,
don't
but
know
I
how
can
that
see
would work
majority of
out.
those guys getting traded though for sure, like Jeremy
But
Grant.
like the Heat, if you get a package with Brandon Ingram as like the centerpiece, that's kind of nice for Jimmy compared to some of the other things that you could get out
It would
there.
have to be like a 3-team because I don't see Jimmy going to New Orleans by any
New
means.
Orleans, yeah, I do agree with you there. It's more of just thinking of it from like Miami's side, what they would want back. But I do feel you. Let's finish out here, man. Top 10 players of 2024. We can go through these pretty quickly. We got some NBA action to get to. My Sixers are they should already be playing.
I know you're
but
anxious to go see your Sixers, man. So let's wrap this thing up, man.
Go see them lose.
What it is? Capture the flag. Capture the flag. Let's go.
let me throw on the new hat.
This guy here, man. Yeah. Capture the flag, man.
My man Slim hooked me up.
Yes,
Hooked me up for Christmas, bro. I appreciate you. We throw this on though as we finish out, man. Show some love to the Sixers, but I'll throw this one to you off top with the top 10 players of 2024. Maybe it surprises you, maybe it doesn't. There are no Philadelphia 76ers on this list. Does that surprise you?
No, not
does
really.
it? Embiid obviously was not up to par this last year. It wasn't.
It's been rough for you guys. I mean, if I'm being honest, it was this close for me not having nobody on there. But I had to be a little biased. So hey, it is what it is.
Hey, I can see it though. I can see it. I'll tell you why after we give our list. But I think I can see why you would have a guy on there because I'll say this. I put a lot of weight into the Olympics, playing for Team USA, getting the gold medal. I put a lot of weight into that. So that can be factored into the guy I think you're talking about as well, being on the list. But I'll go through them real quickly here, man. I'm going to start at 10. I actually went with AD at number 10. Gave him a little bit of love here this season. All-NBA second team, all-star gold medal. To say the least for AD. Number 9, man. I went with Victor Wembanyama. And the reason I did that, it's not to say that he's like a top 10 player in the NBA already, but I think when you look at the experience that he had last season of winning Rookie of the Year, making the all-defensive team as a rookie, and then going on to the Olympics, taking France to the silver medal. That's a big-ass accomplishment for France's national basketball team. So I factored all that in with Wembanyama. Number 8, I went with LeBron. Led the Olympic team. He was the leader of that unit. He did lead them to a gold medal. All NBA third team, All-Star. And he was the MVP of the Olympic tournament as well. So I gave him a little bit of credit there. Number 7, I went with Anthony Edwards. Just a kind of a breakout year, man. Now, if I was factoring in like the last part of 2024 and the early part of 2025, he might not make this list because my man has regressed a little bit this year from what I am seeing. Maybe it's the fit.
We're going to talk about that one day, man. We have to.
Yeah,
we
need to talk about it.
We got to talk about the T-Wolves for sure. We got to.
Because, Ant's one of my favorite players, but he's not looking right this season. Maybe it's Julius Randle. I don't know. Ant comes in at number 7. He's part of that USA team, Western Conference Finals, so on and so forth. Number 6. This is where the list gets really interesting, I feel. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's just a stat sheet stuffer. He puts up some of the best numbers in the world. He also NBA Cup MVP this season, NBA Cup champion. I don't know if that means anything or not, so don't hold me to that. I don't know if that's like a real accolade or not. But all NBA first team last year, All-Star, played for Team Greece in the Olympics. Giannis obviously speaks for himself. Number 5. I went with Luka, man. And I felt like this could be perceived as disrespectful in a sense. But I don't know. I was just these 4 guys I have ahead of Luka, I was just more thoroughly impressed with over the last year. But Luka, all NBA first team, All-Star, Western Conference Finals, MVP. He definitely
like 74 points or something like that, right?
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah. Ridiculous. Number 4, man, this might be some Duke bias, but I went with Jason Tatum, dude. Finally got the NBA championship. All NBA first team, All-Star. He didn't really play for the Olympic team, but he did get a gold medal. It's an accolade. But Tatum was the leader for this very successful Boston team throughout that last regular season. Obviously led them to new heights. Number 3, I got his running mate, Jaylen Brown, bro. And I think this might be the surprise because Jaylen Brown balled out in the most important moments of the season. He was the finals MVP. Yeah, he deserves some credit, man, because he be getting shit on in every way possible when it comes to NBA superstars. And he is a superstar, man. Eastern Conference Finals MVP, NBA Finals MVP, All-Star. All of that. So he comes in at number 3. Number 2, I went with SGA. Think it speaks for itself. All NBA first team, All-Star, NBA Cup all-tourney team. I don't know if that's an accolade once again, but he balls out, 30-plus point scorer, leading OKC to different new heights. And then number 1, man, this one was painful for me, but he is just the most consistent basketball player on earth. It's Nikola Jokic, man. The MVP, all NBA first team, led Serbia to bronze medal. That means a lot for Serbia, man. And he was on the Olympic All-Star 5, so he was the top 5 player in the Olympics. Gave the USA a hell of a challenge. I just think Jokic is consistently just the best player. I don't know how else to put it. He fills the stat sheet. He makes his teammates better. I've finally gotten to this point in my relationship with Jokic where I understand that he is better than Joel Embiid at this point. But yeah, I think he was the best player. He's the best player in the world right now. I do believe that in Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, I'm giving you a pat on your back right now. It's okay to say it.
Learning lesson. Yeah, I'm growing.
But yeah, man, great list, man. Great breakdowns, great points. Basically, we pretty much got the same thing. So I'm gonna just say the names because I don't have to dive into too much detail. But and by the way, I have no, these are not in order, but I just made a list because I didn't want to get into that.
Fair enough.
I do have this number 1 is the Joker though. He was number 1 for sure. I mean,
I think that's clear cut now. Yeah. I think it's very clear.
The whole year. I mean, from top to bottom. He just had one heck of a year.
He doesn't
And
miss games either.
yeah, that's the underrated part about Jokic. He does not miss games, and he has stepped
Yeah,
it up on the defensive end as well. So you gotta give him his props.
yeah,
So yeah, I got the Joker. I got Brown. Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. What a season for him! I think he got the second largest contract in NBA history. He's living up to it. So shout out JB, man. Like you say, he don't get a lot of love. Then I got
yeah,
Tatum, SGA, Ant Man. Um, Speaking of Ant Man a little bit, it took him like 10 games when Rudy Gobert first joined that team to ever get a dunk. So let that sink in for a minute. And I don't think it's more so of him regressing. It's just the way the team is constructed. He has to shoot a lot
yeah,
of threes. He just scored 50 some points against the Pistons. He made like 10 threes. Like Rudy Gobert closed the paint on Rudy and Julius Randle not a consistent 3-point shooters. So hey, but shout out to Ant Man though. And I got Giannis. I got my guy Steph. I mean, talk about the year Steph had. He dropped 60. He now has the most. He leads like all time in guards with 30-point games or something like that. And yeah, like he helped Team USA ultimately get the goal.
yeah.
So shout out to Steph.
In the goal game,
Yeah,
best
like what a
player in the
shot.
goal game.
Yeah, I mean those big time shots he was hitting. So yeah, then I got Wemby, and I think those are the only two we had alike. I think I don't know. If I got D Mitch. I mean, no. I got Brunson on my top
Ah,
list.
it's
Cause
fair. I was hating on Brunson. You take that with a grain of salt. He probably deserves to be on that list. He
yeah,
broke
man,
out.
yeah, big body Brunson, man. He had one heck of a season overall, but overall his last year for him was pretty good. So yeah, he's really stepped his game up for sure. So shout out JB. And then I got Luca, man. Like both of us got him.
Yeah,
Luca. Western Conference Finals MVP. He dropped 73, I think, earlier last year. So yeah, I mean, he could have went for more if he was in the game longer, but
yeah.
but overall, that's my list, man. We basically pretty much got the same thing except for like two. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think Bron and Steph are the two alternate. Or no, AD is not on there as well, right?
Oh yeah. So who I
Because you
got
have
there?
Brunson and
Oh,
Steph.
Brunson
Those are
and
the
yeah,
difference.
Brunson and Steph. Yeah,
Brunson and
Brunson.
Steph versus LeBron and AD, which
Yeah. Come on, dude. How ironic with this guy coming up here. Like, come on, bro. Like, oh my God, man. Like, that is no Lakers hate, by the way. I promise you it's not, bro. Like,
nah, that's a good list, man. And it really is just based on our own perception. It's not strictly by the numbers, by the accolades. It's more or less just
yeah,
what we were thoroughly impressed with last season. So
yeah.
I feel it. I respect it, man. Anything else before we get out of here, brother?
That's pretty much it, my guy. It's always fun to do this, man.
Hey, 10-3 start for the Sixers over the Suns so far. So we on the right track. I'm gonna go catch the game. We're gonna win. We're up 10-3.
Yeah. You can hope. You can hope. So, hey, we shall see.
Hey, I'm hoping, bro. But we got some good action tonight. Clippers and T-Wolves later.
Okay. Oh,
Heat
yeah.
and
Kawhi.
Kings.
Kawhi's back. Kawhi's back.
Kawhi is back. We didn't even talk about that. So we got plenty to talk about on the next episode
Yeah.
of NBA to the Galaxy Pod. We'll definitely get all the topics in. We got some T-Wolves to talk. Need to talk about Kawhi returning. We do just need to revisit the entire look of the NBA right now because it has been about 2 weeks of content. So
Yeah.
we will be
Because,
back.
yeah, I remember you mentioned something about the refs too. So we have a we can dive into all that, man.
Yeah. We got some topics. We got some
Yeah,
content to get out there. But appreciate you always, Slim. Be
yes,
sure to
sir.
follow Slim on X at RTR30111. You can find myself at Scotty Drowned. You can find the pod at To The Galaxy Pod on X. And finally, To The Galaxy Pod is presented to you by DSM Media, which you can find at DSM_media. Thank you all for tuning in. We got about 90 heads in here from the look of it. If you are not subscribed on the YouTube To The Galaxy Podcast YouTube channel, please head over to the YouTube channel. Help us grow there. Hit the subscribe button. Comment over there. It helps us get views on YouTube, helps our channel grow, helps us grow as a whole. So we appreciate any and all support out there. We will see you guys next time. Peace,
Yes,
everybody.
sir. Well, yep.